knee.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Don Woolley coming back at you again with another video. I haven't done one of these in a little while, but decided to do it today. Listen, unless you have been living under a rock for the past, couple hours or so, then you were fully aware that HBO president, don't ask me what the hell the name is right now, because I don't remember, but basically their chief of programming is like, hey, yeah, we are eyeing 8 seasons for Game of Thrones. Now, they initially wanted 10. Then they were able to settle with Dan and Dave on doing 8, which is something I have been saying for a while. I don't know if I had said it in the previous video or not, but I know I definitely had left it in some comments on some other videos. But yeah, I have been saying 8 seasons for a while. I didn't think that there was any way they could possibly get the show done in less than 8 with the amount of story that was still there. And plus, with them casting for the Ironborn for next season, I didn't think that there was any way that they could do the story in less than 8 if they plan on doing any of the Ironborn story that was left over from The Feast for Crows and Dance with Dragons. So, now that that's out the way, I got a couple of predictions, actually, I'd like to go over. One being Jon Snow. Now, we all know that the character Jon Snow is purported to be dead. HBO chief is saying he's dead. Kit Harington is saying he's dead. The gentleman who directed the episode where Jon Snow gets stabbed to death says he's dead. Now, I did a video a little while ago called Jon Snow's name or real name, or I don't know, but I'll leave, card in the description or whatever, where, basically I'm like, hey, I don't think that Jon Snow was supposed to be his original name, and I think that this tactic of saying Jon Snow is dead is kind of, playing with semantics a bit. And, we may find out that Jon Snow had a different name, and when he comes back, people aren't going to be calling him Jon Snow anymore. They're going to be calling him whatever his name was supposed to have been. Or they could just call him Azor Ahai. Who knows, right? So we've been seeing all the pictures of Kit Harington in Belfast, and who knows, he could be trolling us. He could be there for a totally unrelated project that just so happens to shoot pretty close. But personally, I think that Jon Snow will appear in 2 episodes of Season 6. Episode number 1, where, the Night's Watch is trying to figure out what to do with his body before the wildlings get wind of it, and before his actual supporters get wind of what happened. And, lastly, episode 10, where Melisandre finally figures out how to bring him back. And I think this will differ from the books. So, one of these guys already spoiled that Shireen will be burned. I think it will differ from the books in the way that Melisandre will hear about Stannis dying. She will convince Selyse that they need to burn Shireen to bring back Stannis. And when Melisandre calls for someone to be brought back, she won't mention Stannis. She won't even mention Jon. She will say, hey, Lord of Light, bring back Azor Ahai. And that's how we'll get the resurrection of Jon and confirmation that he is Azor Ahai. As far as the prequel series, I don't think they're going to do the Tales of Dunk and Egg for a prequel. I think, if anything, they're going to wind up doing Robert's Rebellion. And I say that only because with Robert's Rebellion, they're not constrained to stuff from the books. Because, with Game of Thrones, it being an adaptation of A Song of Ice and Fire, there are many people who are like, oh, well, you left this out, you left that out, blah, blah, blah. And Robert's Rebellion is an afterthought to a certain extent. Yes, Robert's Rebellion is mentioned in great detail. We have many of the major events that happen. Obviously, we have what was the prelude and what happened at the end, you know, the resulting end. But in terms of some of the intricacies and smaller details, you know, the motivations behind what happened with Rhaegar and Lyanna, I don't think we're going to get that in the show in Game of Thrones, because I think they're going to wind up doing Robert's Rebellion. You know, again, this leaves them not constrained to what happens in the books, so there wouldn't be such a, I guess, a backlash. They wouldn't have to worry about, you know, what people are going to say about, oh, well, you know, you left this out, or you left that out, or you cut out these characters. It should be a much smaller scale show. And also, you know, because at that particular time there wasn't the presence of magic, it would also, there are budgetary constraints that they wouldn't have to worry about that they do with Game of Thrones, because everything takes place in Westeros as opposed to it being Essos. So what I'm thinking, they could do, you know, maybe 3-4 seasons of Robert's Rebellion. And that may seem wrong, but if, you know, if you're talking about, if they do like 8 episodes, something like True Detective, where everything is kind of fast paced. You get the first season where it's just, you know, the tournament at Harrenhal, Night of the Laughing Tree, all that other kind of stuff. And at the very end of it, you get the kidnapping of Lyanna, calling of the banners, etc., etc. And then the very last episode, you get Robert saying, hey, we got to go to war. Second season could be the very start of the war. Third season can be, you know, midpoint of the war where they're not sure how it's going to go. Fourth season, it can be, you know, when the tide really starts to turn. Season 5 can be when Robert actually beats Rhaegar. Then that whole thing that happens after them with them marching to King's Landing, etc. That's something that can be stretched out, and again, it's not constrained to the actual books itself. But yeah, if they're going to do any prequel, I would say it's either going to be Robert's Rebellion, or if they aren't worried about CGI budgetary constraints, the other story that I would think that they would do would be Aegon's Conquest, because that one, you could have, you know, the dragons and the whole magical element. Everything still takes place in Westeros, and we'd actually get to see a lot of legendary figures. I don't think any prequel that they do is going to be based off of an actual book, but that's just my opinion on it. Anyway, listen, let me know what you guys think about this, and I will be back with some more subscriber requests later on today, actually. I know I haven't put out a video in a while. Sorry, I've been a little under the weather. You know how that goes. So, anyway, rate, comment, subscribe, share, tell your friends, come back for more. That's been my time. Don Willie, I'm out.